I call this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. The date is April 22nd, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. Item 19, roll call. Ms. Myers.
Present.
Ms. Morelos.
Present.
Ms. Maldonado.
Present.
Mr. Martinez.
Mr. Keep this call, he's running late, he's in traffic.
Ms. Silvera.
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez. Present. Mr. Mira.
Here.
And student advisor Jacob Lozano and Theodore Lopez. And at this time, I'll ask for nomination on Checker, because I'm going to retreat to help you guys into the president into Texas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the flag, I pledge allegiance to the one nation, under God, one indivisible.
I will take us to our CISD vision and mission statements and ambassadors. Whatever else you can lead us into the mission statement as well as into the vision statement.
90 years of the school district mission. We provide equitable opportunities to ensure our future-ready students are empowered to explore, learn, grow, and excel. Vision, mitigate, impact harm.
And that will take us to our next agenda item. Item number 2, Board Honors. 2A, recognition of Reyes Elementary School 3rd grade freedom. Nicholson Reyes Elementary School 12th grader Alan Armstrong and Children's Elementary School 5th grader Haley Boyle for earning grand champion titles at the 2025 CISD District Science Fair. Presenter Gustavo Reyes.
Ladies members of the board and recognized, please join us in front of the dais to begin tonight's presentation. Good evening, everyone. I'm Gustavo Reyes, the Block Director of Communications for CISD. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate the amazing work done by students and staff of the school district. We began tonight by celebrating 3 exceptional young scientists who took home the top honors at this year's CISD District Science Fair. These students showed curiosity, innovation, and dedication to the scientific method, all qualities that will take them far in life. The science fair is a staple of the educational experience, and we are proud to give our most scientifically minded students an opportunity to showcase their knowledge and talents. The 3 students honored today are the grand champions in their grade category, which means their projects show a heightened level of knowledge and a keen eye for the scientific method. Our third honoree is Freedom Michelson, a 3rd grader at Reyes Elementary School. Freedom earned the grand champion title in the primary category for the project titled Perception of Time that demonstrated strong research and imagination beyond her years. Please welcome Freedom as well as her teacher, principal, and parents. We have the principal here. Freedom couldn't make it today, but Principal Dr. Carrillo is here to represent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Adeline Armstrong, a fourth grader, also from Reyes Elementary School. Adeline took home the grand champion title in the intermediate category for a project titled How Does Fat, Fibers, Protein, and Carbs Affect Blood Sugar, which showed attention to detail, hard work, and scientific curiosity. Please welcome Adeline as well as her teachers, principal, and parents.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Categories, Willie Whitehouse, fifth grader from Children's Elementary School. Willie scored the title Staff Captain Scores, stood out for his originality and execution, a reflection of his passion for learning. Please welcome him, as well as the teachers, principals, and parents. And you represent the best of the best in our scientific efforts. And we want to congratulate them and wish them well as they move on and hopefully participate in future science fairs as well. Thank you all. Our next honor is in celebration of April as the month of the military child, a time to recognize and support the unique experiences of children in military families. Tonight, we are honored to recognize 5 CISD campuses for the College Purple Star designation, a special recognition given to schools that show outstanding support for military-connected students. These campuses have gone above and beyond to create welcoming environments, provide critical resources, and build connections for students whose families serve our nation. Please join us in congratulating the following TEO Purple Star campuses. First up, Adjournment Middle School.
Congratulations. 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 Congratulations.
the military.
I was
You were in the military.
oh, yeah. You should never try that.
Oh, yeah.
That's clear shoes. Next, alternate tonight for the work with military connected families is Children's Elementary School. Celebrating their second year as a Purple Star School, the non-elementary school.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Any other parents?
You can hit it just
And now for the newest member for Purple Star Family in Cantillo, Davenport Elementary School.
You could send me the stuff, but there you go. All right, that's a special step.
Ready? 1, 2,
And now for the veteran of our Purple Star School for the 5th year, with honor is Vegas Elementary School. And you expect top-tier schools on a weekly and sometimes monthly basis for their commitment to supporting our military families and honoring their children throughout the year. What representative members of the board and representatives? This includes this month's board.
Item number 3, open forum. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment, however, meeting must not to be heard in accordance with district policy BED Global. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes to make comments to the board. The board is not permitted to discuss or act over any issues that are not posted on the agenda for the next meeting. For further information on these policies, contact the Superintendent's administrative assistant. And Mr. President, we do have 15 participants set up for tonight. The first participant is Adeline Armstrong, with her mother Ashley Armstrong, regarding the importance of retaining the school parents in CISD.
Today I am here to talk to you about my concerns of removing probationary nurses from our schools. In Ireland is an autoimmune disorder called type 1 diabetes. That means that my pancreas no longer produces insulin that helps my body turn carbohydrates into energy my body can use. For this reason, I'm having to rely on the school nurse to support me when I give myself insulin and check my blood sugar. Starting attending school without a registered nurse makes me feel very scared and sad. I can easily go too high and not be able to focus, or go too low, that which can lead to a life-threatening situation. This can happen at any time, and I want to be able to feel safe and keep my head up when I am at school. Therefore, I am very upset that the board did not ask the community for their opinion before
before deciding to remove registered nurses from most of our schools. Emergencies happen every day and we used to expect them. And while LVNs are capable of monitoring health, they need to have quick thinking and need to know what to do in a crisis. For example, in my previous school, I did not have a dedicated school nurse. Instead, there were various adults that rotated every week who took care of me. They had a big book they would read out of in order to know how to take care of me. And this made me feel unsafe and even if I did not know what they were doing. And there was so much cost and often most to recess and lunch just because they did not know how to keep me safe. Those two items had to keep me safe, and thanks to her, I am getting more confident when taking care of myself. Even kids without on-campus need and deserve school nurses. Things like broken bones and fever to life-threatening situations happen at any time, and fully trained school nurses are sometimes the only ones who can step up to the situation and take action. Fully trained RNs also improve attendance. For example, having an autoimmune disorder means that when I was sick, I do not recover as quickly as others. When I have strep, my body develops ketones. I ran very high fevers and got very sick. And when I start to feel better, my mom sends me to school, but she will remind me to go to the nurse if I ever need to. And if there were no one at school, I would miss more days than I should have because I would not feel comfortable coming to school after being sick. School nurses also take the load off of teachers and staff members because they know what to do when something's to get. This all goes to show that school nurses are a crucial part of the district in making sure that students are taken care of properly. And for the better of the district, please consider the situation from the point of view of the student and how we feel about our safety. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Pereira.
Board members. My name is Jennifer Pereira, and I'm new at Adjournment. It's been an emotional week. I have been the nurse coordinator for the 24-25 school year. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve. It's been different. I was a school nurse behind the chair, I guess you could say, before I took on this year. So it's had its own challenges. So I come today. I know the decision was made to change the model from 3 to 8 LVNs. And it's just the past couple of weeks have been something that I've been mulling over, looking at strategies, talking to our nurses, and getting more of an idea on the feel for what we're looking at. Some of the biggest concerns, I guess I would say, or to have you kind of hear a voice from my perspective, would be what do we do if we don't get LVNs in enough time for the school year to start is one concern. I'm aware of the area. I've worked as a critical care nurse in the past. I know that it's hard to find healthcare and that we have RNs already so trained. It's an amazing privilege that we have. So I do recognize that. I also recognize that we are in a deficit. That the reality is the debt that we have needs to be controlled, and if we stay, someone else goes. I'm very aware of that. With that said, as a nurse coordinator, since I've covered regularly this entire year many campuses, and I can speak for this week alone, I have covered 2 campuses in only Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday today, I've covered campuses for nurses that have medical emergencies and needed to be out on their own, and we won't have that next year. On top of the fact that we will have less RNs assigned at our campuses. So, I just wanted to give the board a quick number so that you can hear it out loud and the community can also hear the numbers. As of right now, we currently have 521 documented asthmatics. Those are that take inhalers or have asthma. We have 379 students with allergies that are at risk for anaphylaxis. We have 26 diabetics in our district, which is a high number for our non-students. We have 72 epileptic and seizure disorders documented with medications. This year alone, we have seen in our clinics 13,685 illnesses related to visits in our clinics alone, and 14,711 of those have been medication visits alone. Between screenings, ARDs, and 504s, we have seen 9,811 students. With that being said, we cannot predict what the health-related issues will be next year, and that is my fear. Every year it does change. Students go from, elementary to secondary, and so we're looking at a whole new shift. So although this year may look one way, next year it may not. Again, I do have handouts if you would like to have the numbers in depth. I do have it all written in documents for each of you. And again, just to say thank you. Thank you to my nurses.
Next participant is Sandra Day in regards to resolution to the Canutillo ISD Board of Trustees preserving the RN nursing model and nurse coordinator position.
Are we allowed to switch? If I'm first, is that okay? Sorry. Julie Scott. Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees and Dr. Galaviz. I am Julie Scott, co-chair of our Canutillo ISD School Health Advisory Council, also known as SHAC. I am presenting today on behalf of SHAC. During our quarterly meeting on April 7th, we were presented with concerns from parents in our district about the new nursing model that was voted into place on March 25th. We voted as a SHAC to create a committee to construct a resolution to present to you as follows. Resolution to the Canutillo ISD Board of Trustees preserving the RN nursing model and nurse coordinator position. Whereas the Canutillo Independent School District prides itself on its mission to provide equitable opportunities for students to explore, learn, grow, and excel while fostering a community where parents and families are welcomed with meaningful opportunities to actively engage in decision making. And whereas the board approved budget amendment on March 25th to reduce the district's nursing model to 3 registered nurses and 8 licensed vocational nurses, and to eliminate the nurse coordinator position poses significant risk to student health, safety, and well-being, particularly in light of the diverse medical, behavioral, and emergency care needs of students across campuses. And whereas both the RN and nurse coordinator positions are essential and interdependent in delivering comprehensive, high-quality healthcare services district-wide. RNs provide direct clinical care, manage chronic conditions, respond to emergencies, and serve as a primary health resource for many students, especially those from underserved backgrounds. The nurse coordinator provides clinical leadership, supports and mentors nursing staff, ensures program evaluation, manages health data, oversees technology and compliance, serves as a vital liaison among families, staff, and community health resources, and also provides direct clinical support in absence of school nurses. And whereas the reduction in RN staffing and elimination of the nurse coordinator may compromise compliance with state health guidelines, limit timely responses to emergencies, and disproportionately impact students with chronic conditions or disabilities who rely on skilled nursing care. And whereas the ongoing measles outbreak in the El Paso region, with confirmed cases including exposures at local schools and public spaces, underscores the critical importance of having a fully staffed RN team and a dedicated nurse coordinator in Canutillo ISD to ensure rapid response to communicable disease threats, effective contact tracing, immunization verification, and timely communication with families and public health authorities. Whereas the proposed staffing model contradicts CISD's stated belief that parents and families are engaged in supporting the social, emotional, and academic needs of their students as stakeholders, we were not afforded adequate opportunity to voice concerns or provide input prior to the budget's adoption. And whereas the March 25th budget amendment reducing the RN staffing and eliminating the nurse coordinator position has generated widespread concern from parents, medical professionals, and community stakeholders, prompting calls for a full repeal to align the best practices in student health care. Part 2 will be with my counterpart who will present soon. Thank you.
Next participant is Marilu Villegas, concerned parent with a child that has special needs.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for this opportunity. We need our RNs. My name is Marilu Villegas, and I am the parent of 3 children at JDE. A little back history about my daughter, Alina. She is currently 3 years old and in the PK3 SPED program. She was born in Germany at 5 weeks of life. We were told that, by the local doctor that he is suspected of syndrome based on her medical problems. At the time, four different holes in her heart, severe kidney reflux, and a 4 by 3 centimeter cyst in her abdomen, and recommended that we return to our home country immediately because they couldn't bring insulin specialists to one small town retreat. From that moment, like any parent who prayed for a healthy baby, our lives were crushed. But as I knew that things were now going to be changing, I changed as well. Researching and advocating for my daughter started then and will continue on for the rest of my life. Since then, my daughter's medical needs have become more complex. We've added a severe form of drug-resistant epilepsy, global developmental delay, spina bifida, she's nonverbal, and most recently we've learned that she has a rare genetic mutation. That makes her one in maybe 200 people worldwide, called Leslie Cap syndrome. This past November, she was intubated and placed into a medically induced coma due to bilateral pneumonia, parainfluenza 4, and severe ARDS. She gets sick often, which is bi-weekly, as I am fighting it now. Daily, she has about 20 seizures. When she is sick, when she is congested, they go up to 50. When she aged out of ECI, we were encouraged to put her in school, but I wasn't sure. That meant I was no longer going to be there by her side 24/7. Unknown to our nurse, she was basically interviewing for a job at our ARD meeting. Still unsure about sending her, I went through the steps to see if I could be convinced. When I brought up every concern I had, our nurse had an educated answer and was prepared to handle anything to do with her medically. When I learned that she had previously worked at a NICU, my heart fell at ease, and I decided to send her. She is me while my daughter is there. When there is a substitute teacher, and more often than not, the nurse is called because they don't understand her seizures. And in turn, she called me to let me know that they were worried, but she is fine. I bring this up because, once again, she knows my daughter's baseline. I'm not saying an LVN can't learn, but I'm worried in 911 being called because they will lack the education plus experience of working with my daughter. I have previous experience in the medical field, but I could never be qualified as an RN. When it comes to my child's health, I will always choose to the best care and advocate for it. We've been through many specialists, and to find a new one now, because one of them is leaving El Paso because in his words, El Paso lacks foresight. And I agree. Don't follow this path, please. Rescind your decision and keep our nurses. If the window was your child, wouldn't you want the best care for her? Thank you.
Next participant is Natalie Day regarding keyboard nurses.
Good afternoon. My name is Natalie Day. I attend Reyes Elementary as a 4th grader. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I worry that without our registered nurses, in an emergency situation, a child could end up in the hospital. But not only do nurses help kids who feel sick or hurt, they care for the children out of school. Nurses do not just hand out Band-Aids all day. For example, I went to the nurse one time and she was busy with quite a bit of kids to attend. And Nurse Fiero helped all of us and made us feel safe. If we have to share nurses between schools, what happens if someone needs help right away and the nurse is in another school? Registered nurses are vital for every school to care and keep us safe. Registered nurses care, help, and heal. So why a few of them instead of all of them? One day I might get hurt, and if I don't have a nurse, there's a possibility that I can get severely injured, and I won't have what I need to be healed. Every child in the Ganondale district depends on our nurse. If you take them away, children can get seriously hurt and not have correct medical attention. Overall, if you save nurses, you save our lives.
Next participant is Fiero regarding the nursing program redesign.
Good evening. My name is Janine Pietro. I'm a parent, a registered nurse, and a community member. I'm here to express my concerns with your decision to cut 8 RNs and the nurse coordinator position to replace them with LVNs. The manner in which this is being executed is unsafe and dangerous. You plan to start the next school year with 7 new LVNs with no policies or procedures in place. An RN cannot safely supervise an LVN while being the only medical professional at another campus. What is the plan if these positions aren't filled? With this decision, you are putting a price on our students' lives, and those lives are priceless. Can you truly place a dollar amount on the safety of our children? More than 2 years ago, I had to perform CPR on a family member that went into cardiac arrest on my campus. Thankfully, by being prompt in implementing the assessments and interventions needed that I learned as an RN, that family member's life was saved. To me, this is just part of the job. I'm trained to act fast, to spot the smallest changes in a patient's condition, and to stay calm in the chaos. That quiet dedication, that humility is the heartbeat of nursing. RNs are trained to catch the quiet signs of a diabetic crisis, a seizure, a severe allergic reaction. Conditions where minutes can mean the difference between life and death. As a school nurse, I would like to share the significant impacts RNs make on a campus. I care for about 580 students and 70 staff members. I care for 4 students with type 1 diabetes. I monitor their blood sugars the whole time they are at school and even on my lunch break. I have multiple students with bleeding disorders, epilepsy, asthma, life-threatening allergies, heart conditions, the list goes on. There's been an increase in students with chronic illnesses since the pandemic. On top of that, I have to comply with state-required screenings, staff trainings, health plans, and immunization requirements so that in case we are audited, the district is not fined or loses funding for non-compliance. I see 30 to 40 students daily for injuries and sick visits. During assessments, I've had students share with me incidents of abuse, anxiety, self-harm, and suicidal ideations. I build trust and rapport with these students and their families. There's already a lack of resources in the Canopio community. We educate every student and parent we see to promote their well-being. This is going to affect enrollment and attendance because the community wants to make sure that their child is safe and healthy so they're able to learn effectively. This is not a matter of if something happens, it is when it happens. We are already short-staffed as is. We have no substitute nurses. I'm afraid to even take a sick day because I'm afraid of something happening to my students when I'm not there. You can't teach an empty desk. I'll leave you with this. Students must be educated to be healthy, but they need to be healthy to be educated. Please prioritize their health and safety. Thank you.
Next participant is Gabriela Portillo regarding the nurse restructure.
Board members and Dr. Galaviz, my name is Gabriela Portillo. I am the registered nurse at Jose Damian Elementary School. I am here today to speak and advocate for my campus and my kids that I service daily. The decision you have made to remove RNs from our schools is one that I believe will impact my school in a very detrimental way. I work at a campus where many of my students and their families are low income. I am their primary source of medical care and resources when they do not have the means or the insurance to see a physician. They rely on this provision in hearing referrals and vision vouchers when available. In case you are unaware, JDE has multiple special needs units that house 3 and 4-year-olds, most of which are nonverbal. Of these students, I have multiple children in wheelchairs, I complete tube feedings, and I assist these students on a daily basis. Our special education students have many chronic conditions that require close monitoring and continuation of care by a nurse who knows and understands not only their conditions, but who they are as individuals. Apart from my SPED students, I also service students who suffer from type 1 diabetes and require constant monitoring of blood sugars and ketone levels, as well as insulin administration through insulin pumps and insulin pens. I rely on how my students say they feel to determine next steps when they are sensitive to insulin. I have students with epilepsy, blood disorders, heart conditions, and many students with mental health needs and medications that are taken care of at school. On my first week as a school nurse at JDE, I had to call an ambulance for a student who suffered a prolonged seizure. Thankfully, my training as an RN with critical care background prepared me for this event. In my first month, I had a student who had a traumatic injury to the mouth from a golf club. It was my job to slow the bleeding and keep them safe and stable until their parents arrived, because their mom did not have insurance and could not afford to have them sent via EMS. Situations like these happen every day, and without RNs who are trained to manage these situations, you are placing our children at risk. And by not having a registered nurse on campus, the time that it would take for the RN to travel would lead to delays in care and the possibility for very dangerous and unfortunate outcomes. As registered nurses, we worked hard to receive our licenses to work and care for our patients. By asking 3 RNs to oversee 7 new LVNs and 1 current LVN, you are asking us to place our license on the line and therefore our livelihoods as well. If we lose our licenses due to being sued or being reported to the Board of Nursing, we can no longer work because we will be responsible for what those LVNs are doing. I truly believe that if any one of you had a student with chronic needs, chronic illnesses, or special needs, we would not be here today. I hope that you have truly taken the time to realize the decision that you have made, because you all say you want to make the least impact to the student, and you've made the biggest impact to our kids. Our nurses are the people who keep them healthy and keep them in school. We were the first biggest cut you made without a second thought. Thank you.
Next participant is Sandra Day regarding the resolution to the Canopillo ISD Board of Trustees preserving the RN nursing model and nurse coordinator positions.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Day. I am the parent of 3 Canopillo ISD students, 2 in the high school and 1 at Reyes, whom you met earlier, and a recent high school graduate also from CHS. I will be speaking today in continuation to the resolution that Ms. Julie Scott presented today. Now therefore be it resolved that Canopillo ISD School Health Advisory Council, better known as SHAC, urges the Board of Trustees to rescind the March 25th, 2025 budget amendment and, if needed, to conduct a transparent, data-driven review of the nursing model impact on students, health outcomes, and their families, with input from medical professionals, parents, and staff. Please consider the attached literature review, forthcoming letters of support from medical, public health experts, and the City of El Paso Department of Public Health news release to make an informed decision, and reinstate the entire nursing model, including all of the RNs and the nurse coordinator position as well. Commit to maintaining an RN-led nursing model and reinstate the coordinator position to ensure that every campus has access to RN clinical expertise, the district to retain its essential leadership, oversight, and program evaluation capacity in health services. Establish a formal stakeholder engagement for future budgetary decisions that affect student health, safety, including public forums, surveys, and collaborative workshops with SHAC. Prioritize student well-being in a fiscal planning by exploring alternative cost-saving measures that do not jeopardize healthcare access, emergency preparedness, or the quality and consistency of health services at the schools. Be it further resolved that the board reaffirm its commitment to its team operating procedures which emphasize public participation and open lines of communication by ensuring that parents and community members are an integral part of decision-making impacting student welfare. The supporting rationale for this resolution underscores the district's obligation to uphold its mission and vision safeguarding the students' health through both adequate RN staffing and the vital leadership of the nurse coordinator, roles that are equally indispensable for organizing, directing, and evaluating health services, mentoring staff, ensuring compliance, and supporting continuous improvement. Comprehensive school nursing teams are critical for the delivery, safety, and equity of effective healthcare in the students, especially so with the current measles outbreak in the area. So I urge you to look at the literature review that I shared with you earlier. Thank you.
Next participant is regarding the reduction of forced legacy workforce.
Hello, I'm a public school teacher and a father to a first grader with asthma in your district. I asked the board here today one very important and crucial question. What is the plan? What is the plan when one of your 3 RNs is out sick? Or if their child is sick? What is the plan? Who will supervise the LVN? And and when that happens, who will cover the nurse at one of those 3 lucky campuses who will have an RN? What is the plan when there's an LVN out sick? Will the RN be expected to be at 2 campuses at once? What's the plan if there are multiple health professionals out? What's the plan if there are no nurses on a campus and a health emergency happens? Whatever the plan is, I'm sure it'll be well thought out and in the best interest of student health and safety. The requirements on your website for the new LVN position are a high school diploma, valid LVN license, and a 1-year experience in a health-related position. 3 semesters of health-related education. An RN must have a college degree, an RN license, and at least 1 year experience in a hospital setting. In other words, 3 to 4 years of health-related education. I guess part of the plan is to have less experienced healthcare for our students and not to take into account all of the medical emergencies, chronic conditions, and mental health support that can happen on any one given day at one of your schools. What's the plan for measles? What's the plan to ensure that parents feel comfortable with having a trusted healthcare professional on a campus that can identify that potential risk and who has the education and knowledge to try and combat that disease from further spreading? On March 26th, an email was sent out from the superintendent that said there will be a reduction of force that will affect some employees. And he went on to say that our priority remains the well-being and education of our students. However, that email failed to mention nurses, or that most of the schools in the district will be without a full-time RN. Nurses, please say nurses. Stop being disingenuous by calling it a reduction of force for health services without mentioning what will really happen. Nurses, you're cutting RN nurses. What's the plan when there's a lawsuit brought against the district for failure to attend to student health needs? What's the plan when, God forbid, there's a medical emergency that could result in death for a student or an employee? Better to pay a nurse salary now than to pay a larger amount in a lawsuit later. It makes you wonder, what's the point of cutting RNs now? Why are we gambling with student lives? This isn't hyperbole. Thank you.
Next participant is Alejandra Alvarez, New School Traffic.
Good evening, I'm Alejandra Alvarez, and I am here to address the concern on Strahan, the traffic. It seems like you're cutting the budget on a school from what I can see here, but yet there's plans to build another middle school right across Jose Damian Elementary, but yet I can see that there's budget cutting. Anyways, I'm here because I live on Strahan and the traffic is ridiculous. And then you're trying to dump the new school, which obviously there's a short budget for, the traffic on Strahan, when Strahan is identified by the city and the county as a local street, only for adjacent homes and land. Upper Valley Road can deal with the new traffic of the new school. That's if it ever happens, because I know there's plans for a new Bernardino Middle School coming. Then there's also TxDOT is thinking about dumping the new freeway traffic on Strahan, if I understand that correctly. Again, Strahan is a small street. There's not even lines drawn. There's a one-way in and a one-way out.
Upper Valley Road, sorry, it's not me. Upper Valley Road is, it can address that traffic. It can get the new school traffic and also the freeway exit and entrance on that. Just please, I'm here to advocate and to bring awareness to obviously cutting the budget, but yet we're getting another school. Strahan cannot get that traffic. It's already consumed. Like I said, there's one way in and there's one way out. Upper Valley Road, and I know the new Emerald Springs, you know, brought that to your attention as well. They can handle that traffic of the new school. Thank you.
Next participant is Victor Villalobos regarding Upper Valley Road.
My name is Victor Villalobos, and I've lived in Strahan for 30 years now. We are deeply concerned about the proposal to direct the traffic to the new middle school through the only rural access road, which we call Strahan Road. Obviously, there's a much better solution. It's Upper Valley Road, and this is why. It is wider and built to handle heavier traffic. Upper Valley Road was constructed with a larger infrastructure in mind, making it safer for the buses, parents, and staff who will be accessing the new middle school. It can accommodate more vehicles without causing dangerous backups, unlike Strahan Road, which is narrow and ruled by design. It connects directly to multiple neighborhoods and commercial centers. Upper Valley Road links naturally to surrounding communities and commercial zones, allowing traffic to flow more easily and giving drivers multiple route options. This prevents bottlenecks and spreads out traffic, minimizing the burden on any single neighborhood. It was part of the school's original design plan. The school was initially planned with Upper Valley Road as its main point of access, which means traffic studies, engineering designs, and city approvals already considered the most appropriate entrance and exit. Changing the plan out would ignore that expert planning and create avoidable problems. On behalf of the Strahan Neighborhood Association, an officially recognized organization by the City of El Paso, we respectfully and urgently ask that you would uphold the original design and keep the school's ingress and egress on Upper Valley Road, and please do not let our community become collateral damage in the name of convenience. Our health, our safety, our children, our animals, and our way of life depend on it. Thank you for your time, your service to our children, and we hope for doing the right thing.
Next participant is Gerard Lee regarding Canopillo ISD building new schools on Upper Valley Road.
Sir, would you like to sit?
No, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
We're good? This is getting interesting. My name is Jerry Lee, and I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Laguna Meadows HOA. And I would respectfully ask that my comments be recorded for the record. Also, the Laguna Meadows HOA would like for the latest Upper Valley Road traffic study to be discussed at the next CISD board meeting, and that discussion be recorded for the record as well. As for me myself, I'm a retired educator of 40 years in Texas and New Mexico, and I've lived in Laguna Meadows for almost 21 years. And I've seen things change drastically along Upper Valley Road, in our neighborhood, in the area in general. It's not what it used to be. It was kind of a comfortable, quiet country place when I moved there. It's not anymore. And I hear the previous speakers talking about Upper Valley Road being a better place to handle traffic for these new schools, and that might be the case. I'm not here to make that argument one way or the other. Our concern at at Laguna Meadows HOA is the entrance to the school. You guys, on the plans that we have seen, have put that entrance directly across the street from the entrance to our neighborhood. That just can't happen. We can't allow that to happen. If you don't live in that area, you need to go out there some morning during rush hour and watch the traffic on Upper Valley Road. It's crazy. And those of us who live in that neighborhood have to literally fight our way out on the Upper Valley Road so we can get started to work and school and the other places that we have to go. During rush hour, the traffic is just unbelievable. It's not that way all day long, but it's going to be that way when kids are coming to school. Now you guys are going to add another 500 cars, God knows how many kids, and all sorts of chaotic situations and confusion. People coming, people going, people trying to exit our neighborhood, people coming to school, people leaving the school, not to mention the already crazy people that are going down Upper Valley Road. You guys live here in El Paso, you know what people do, the crazy things that they do when they get stuck in a long line of vehicles. Well, I stood out there this morning and watched all sorts of craziness go on. And traffic was backed up from Artcraft all the way past and beyond the entrance to our neighborhood. That's what all the school goers there are going to have to deal with. That's what the people who live in the Meadows are going to have to deal with. Are you telling me that I'm done?
Yes, sir. Your minutes are done.
We have a petition with more than 200 signatures on it asking you not to put the entrance to that school across the street from our school or from our neighborhood. Otherwise, we're going to have to continue to try to stop you from doing it.
Requesting the school board to stand by the site plan and honor the original intent to use Upper Valley Road for Canopillo Middle School access.
Good evening. May it please the board, Dr. Galavis, President Rodriguez. The Strahan Neighborhood Association respectfully opposes the proposal to place the entrance and exit for the new Canopillo Middle School on Strahan Road. Strahan is a narrow two-lane local street classified by both the city and county of El Paso as a local access road meant only to serve adjacent homes. It is a dead-end road with no alternate exits. Entrance and exit is via Borderwood Road, which already experiences significant congestion. Introducing institutional scale traffic onto Strahan Road would create serious safety risks for residents, school children, and God forbid the need arises, emergency responders. This road is already burdened by Jose Damian Elementary School, and adding a second school would be both unsafe and irresponsible. In contrast, Upper Valley Road is classified as a minor collector road, designed specifically to absorb traffic from other roads. It is wider, better maintained, potentially can be doubled in size, and is better suited to handle bus and car flow traffic associated with school use. The official architectural site plan for the new school already shows all ingress and egress occurring from Upper Valley Road. The layout reflects community input and was originally designed to prevent the very disruption we now face. There are those who are petitioning for the school traffic to be rerouted through Strahan despite our neighborhood's legitimate safety and infrastructure concerns. We urge the board to stand by the site plan and honor the original intent, to use Upper Valley Road for school access and to preserve the safety of those at the new school in Strahan neighborhood. In summary, Strahan Road is a local street. It's officially classified by the city and county as a single entry and exit road via Borderland. Its current traffic burden is that it already services Jose Damian Elementary School and it cannot handle additional volume from the middle school. Upper Valley Road is the appropriate option. It's classified as a minor collector road by the city and county. It's designed for higher volume traffic, and it connects with major roads, neighborhoods, and commercial zones. The TechStart Artcraft Improvement Project will elevate Artcraft over Upper Valley to further improve flow. The CISD official architectural renderings show entrance on Upper Valley Road, and this layout reflects community input from prior meetings. The safety and livability on Strahan, we have narrow roads, there's no sidewalks, and no traffic infrastructure. increased traffic and dangers of children, pedestrians, and livestock that we have there. The petition to move ingress and egress is coming from those representing private interests. Their request disregards the road classifications and the neighborhood safety. Our request is that the board maintain the school entrance and exit on Upper Valley Road as planned. We appreciate you listening. I'm Laura Strathman on behalf of the Strahan Neighborhood Association.
Next participant is Mr. Dion Dorado, and he mentioned he has 3 different topics.
Good evening, board members. My name is Dionisio, also known as Dion, or Dion Dorado, a member of this school district since 1983, and very active in a lot of things that the district was going through. And I contributed to a lot of changes to this district. Always keep behind the scenes, which is the safest place to be, unless you get elected like we elected you folks. I ran twice, I didn't get elected, but I got a lot of votes. I got 3 topics I want to talk about. The school board. You know that the citizens, the community elected you. That's why you have that position. A position of trust and responsibility. And you're overseeing the school district's management. The superintendent is the top administrator, not you. You hired him. I was involved in that. And of course, you can fire him. I was involved in getting rid of the last 2 superintendents. But he manages the day-to-day operation of the district and implements the board's policies. And there should be a relationship between you school board members and the superintendent. Always a relationship. Because that will ensure that the district operates effectively and meets the needs of the students. It's not, we didn't elect you so you could feel good. We elected you to make sure that our kids in this district get educated to the best possible point. And that takes a good administrator, okay, to do it. Now I want to talk about micromanagement. We all tend to fall into that little niche of micromanagement. But you only micromanage when there's a lack of trust. And you might have a psychological problem and you need to control. You've got to be in control of everything. And of course, inexperience. That is no good for a district. You hired him, well, it wasn't you that hired him, but he's here, and he's a real good superintendent. I've seen him come and go, believe me, and I've seen board members come and go.
Thank you, Mr. Dorado.
They're good. Now, local government code, can I just finish up? Local government code calls for the removal of officers. You are officers. And you can be removed on a simple, plain thing of incompetency in district court. If someone files, I'm not about not filing. Now, the last thing, internal auditor. You got rid of your internal auditor. Why did you do that? The internal auditor is the one that actually makes the district function, because it keeps an eye out for you and for the superintendent and for us, the taxpayers. So you've got to bring back the internal auditor. I had a lot of problems with the former superintendent who brought in his own internal auditor, and you know what happened to Murphy. He brought him in and got rid of Martha. Martha was a super internal auditor. We need that position back, because that's what makes it function between the community, the superintendent, and you board members.
Thank you, Mr. Lavelle.
Thank you very much for giving me that.
Mr. President, we do have one more member. Her sign-up sheet has gone to our spam. Is Alexandria Ortiz in regards to keeping the RNs at schools.
Good evening. My name is Alexandria Ortiz. This is my daughter Madeline, who is a student at Jose Damian. Sorry. As a type 1 diabetic, Madeline requires deep monitoring, especially due to extreme fluctuations. There have been instances where the sugar has soared to dangerous levels, causing her to vomit. Other times it has dropped rapidly, leading to seizures. In these critical moments, having an RN present at the school is essential. The Nurse Portillo has been amazing in ensuring Madeline's safety, her attentiveness, and prompt communication, providing with peace of mind while Madeline is at school. And the thought of removing RNs like Nurse Portillo from the school environment raises significant concerns. In emergencies, having trained professionals who can respond effectively to crucial situations to avoid panic and ensure the health and safety of students like Madeline. I urge you to consider the necessity of retaining Nurse Portillo and the importance of having RNs in our schools. Our children's safety should remain the top priority. Thank you.
And our last speaker for tonight is Chief Fernando Martinez with an introduction to the board.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Galaviz, and Board of Trustees. Just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Fernando Martinez. I'm the new Chief of Police here at Canutillo ISD. Quick background on myself, retired from San Antonio, Texas, 25 years of law enforcement. I retired as a Chief Deputy, worked my way all the way up to the Chief Deputy. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to introduce myself, and I can't wait to work with each and every one of y'all. Also, I want to invite you, this Thursday is Coffee with the New Chief here at the Central Office at 9 a.m. so you can come. But I also want to invite the community. So thank you for giving me this time. Thank you.
Next item is item number 4, Board of Trustees business. 4A, Northwest Early College High School Design Development Presentation. Presenter, the M&K Architects team.
Good evening, Board. Dr. Galaviz. I'm Renee Jimenez, President and CEO of M&K Architects. We're the ones that are slated to design the new Northwest Early College campus. And I'm here to provide you an update on the status of where we are in the design. So I'd like to first by thanking you all for continuing to involve the community in the design process. You can go to the next slide, please. So this is the slide shows the entire team that is working on the Northwest Early College. As you know, a strong project hinges on the dedication of a collective team. So this shows our consultants as well as the construction manager at risk, the bond manager, the Northwest Early College staff who has been actively involved in the design as we move forward, as well as the active participation of the community. This close collaboration is vital for reaching the project at this stage. Next slide, please. So joining me today is Miguel Hernandez. He's our senior project manager within our office, who's been managing the project from the onset and will continue through the completion of the project design. Next slide. We're also working closely with Jordan Foster Construction, who's the construction manager at risk. So they've been working with us with their expertise in ensuring that the project scope aligns with the project budget. I don't know if anyone is here with them today, but if you have any questions with regards to the budget, they would be the ones you would ask, or the estimate, I should say. Next slide, please. So I'd like to start by recapping the project. So originally we started the scope with a 47,000 square foot new campus addition, and it increased as the program enhanced to a 65,000 square feet. And right now our current design is at 63,500, which is under the program that was provided to us. The original budget was 28.8 million, and it was increased, and so now the current budget is at 30.3 million. Next slide, please. Since our last meeting with the board and giving the update, we have facilitated 2 additional active and 1 informative community meeting involving staff, students, and parents. So meeting number 5, which was the one that took place after our last board meeting, we were able to meet with the stakeholders of the project, where we've informed them what the project, reminded them of what the budget was, and also shared with them with the budget, or the estimate that was established by Jordan Foster. And during that meeting, we conducted some value engineering exercises where we presented potential value engineering opportunities, where we presented them with visual representation and the impact that it would have on the project. And we addressed the community feedback that we received from the last community meetings. And we also held an exterior finished color palette visioning session during that meeting. Next slide, please. So at meeting number 6, we reviewed millwork in the setup of each of the classrooms, from the science classrooms as far as like where the front of the classroom is, how it was going to be positioned as far as marker boards, tack boards, fume hoods, that type of stuff. And then we presented a couple options, and that's what you're seeing here on this slide. We presented a couple options with regards to how the interior finishes could look. They provided their input. Next slide, please. And this was the final color selection palette that the community put together, the stakeholders put together for us to move forward. Slide 9, next slide. So I bring up this slide first. This was the one we presented at our last board meeting. And I just want to point out a couple things on this slide here. So during the schematic design, we originally had 5 buildings. We had ponding, if you notice on here, to the east of the site. We had security fencing that maximized the campus boundaries. If you notice, the cul-de-sac that was the turnaround for the buses is up in the northeast corner. And there was an amphitheater, which wasn't originally part of the program, which was something the community asked for, that's on the schematic design. And we maximized the landscape area as well. And then Jordan Foster's estimate came in for SDs, and we were a little bit over budget, so we need to work through that. Next slide, please. So this is just a graphic also of that same schematic design. So to assist in getting the project within budget, I mentioned that we did a value engineering exercise with the stakeholders at meeting number 5, where we outlined several opportunities to where we could get the project within budget. And they accepted the majority of them, and there were some that they didn't really thought that it would benefit the campus, so we did not accept those. Next slide, please. On March 25th, we submitted our 100% design development, which is represented by this slide here. So this is our current design. If you notice that we're now down to 3 buildings. So we reduced it from 5 buildings to 3 buildings. By eliminating the added buildings, we were able to eliminate some exterior walls, as well as eliminate the number of canopies that we have between the buildings. The pond was also relocated to the other side of the site. This helped reduce cost as well, because obviously the site flows in one direction, so we didn't have to put pumps to pump the stormwater up to the ponding area. It would flow downhill. We also utilized the buildings to service the secured perimeter, so that helped us reduce the amount of security fencing that we had on the site by more than 50%. And then we've also relocated the cul-de-sac down a little bit further, and the way that helped us was there's a huge slope on that side where we originally had the cul-de-sac, which required us to implement several retaining walls, so that helped us reduce the cost as well. Next slide, please. We also reduced the amount of landscaping area that we put on the site, so that helped reduce the cost as well. Next slide. So here you'll see a series of the floor plans, and I know they're probably hard to read. I don't know if you have a copy of the presentation, but if you have any questions on the floor plans, I'd be happy to answer those. So this is the administrative science building. Originally it was 2 separate buildings, so this is one that we combined. Next slide, please. There you have the exterior renderings. We didn't change much. We kept that campus feel that the community was so stuck, wanted to make sure that we captured that. So we made sure we did that as well as we changed the design and got it within budget. Next slide, please. So here is, this is a two-story building. So this is the classrooms as well as the half gymnasium. Those two were separate buildings as well. So this is also where we combined some of the buildings. Also includes the CTE spaces. Within this one, since the schematic design, we have met with the staff in the CTE spaces, changed from a typical trade labs into cyber business labs. And so we've been able to modify the floor plans of those CTE spaces to meet those needs. Next slide, please. These are the renderings of that building itself. And as you can see, again, it looks very similar to what you saw during the schematic design. Last slide. This one is the third building. This is the Fine Arts Multi-Purpose Building, in which we didn't make any changes on this one since the last submittal. We just enhanced it and made it a little bit more, increase the level of design. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Good evening. First, President Rodriguez, I'd like to clarify for the community that the bond money cannot be used for the budget deficit. So I just want to clarify that. But I do have a question. So you said that we're, the original budget was 28 million?
That's correct.
And we're now at 30?
Correct.
30,306,000?
Correct.
And you've talked about different things that you've done to eliminate walls, canopy, ponding area, all that for budget, to stay within the budget. Correct. Or we're still above. Why?
So the original scope that was provided within our contract, we had 47,000 square feet with a budget of 28.8. We're now at 63,500 square feet. So if you do the math, it doesn't equate.
Okay, so if we started with 47,000 square feet and now 63, why the increase in square feet?
I can't answer that. I was given the program.
My concern is that we're already starting on the wrong shoe. We have a budget. We allocated a budget for all these projects. And this is what happens. This is how we get in trouble because then something can be completed because we went over budget. And so I really have an issue with going over budget. I understand that there are some, and I'm not a construction or architect genius. I'm just a basic homeowner. And I know that when you have a budget, you try to stay within that budget. And there are times when you're going to have to increase it for something that's a necessity.
Right.
And I understand that there's community input. However, when this bond was passed, there was a lot of community input on the task force. And there was a budget for the entire bond that was supposed to be allocated to different projects. So I really feel that we're starting off wrong because we're already over budget in this particular project. And so, is it gonna take away from other projects? Are we gonna be then at the end left with a list of projects that could not be completed because there was no funding? And we talked about this, Mr. Ortiz, at the last meeting, about going over budget. So I'm really concerned about that.
So this being over budget right now, of course they were in schematic design, and Ms. Jimenez was given the program, and the programming consisted of everything that entails for the early college high school, consisting of 500 to 600 students. And so that square footage came out to 63,500, and we began the design process on that. Based on the budget that was projected to be in January of 2024, her architectural firm gave the district some budgetary numbers on what it would be to build a 47,000 square foot building. The programming came in and it's a little bit over that. It's 63,500 square feet. We met with the community with the entire desire just to gain as much input as we could from the community on it, with all the wants and all the things that they would like to see in their building. So that was the schematic design phase. So as we've gotten into the design development phase, we're now seeing that we have to cut back on some square footage in order to make the budget. We scraped our budget to make sure, because we had some a buffer in there that we accounted for in escalation of prices from 2024 to 2025 when we're going to start construction. We then increased the budget to 30 million to see if we can get to that number. Based on her contract, she knows that she needs to design to that number. And so we have had communication with Ms. Jimenez and with our general contractor who's performing the construction manager at Risk Services, because we will get to that number. We're going to get to $30 million. We will not go over budget on this project.
So my next question is, the original square footage was 47,000.
Yes.
Was it that a campus for the needs of Northwest Early College could not be built on 47,000 square feet?
Well, it was based on like a 500 square foot building. We met after meeting with the school and the community at the school. There were some other things that they would like to see, and that was just based on just classrooms. So now we're looking at the gymnasium, some CTE areas, some outdoor collaboration areas that were not in the original program for the budget that was budgeted in January 24, and we're just scaling back. This is normal. We like to get as much as we can for the money that we have on a project, and we do know that we're going to have to start scaling back. And this is, of course, in design development. We haven't hit construction documents yet, so we're at that phase now where we're scaling back to get under that budget, and still try to fulfill all the wants and needs that the campuses have.
Well, when you propose something, I'm sorry, when you propose something, what the original design with 47,000 square feet?
We didn't have a design for the original. All we had was what building could fit 500 students? And the answer was 47,000 square feet. And so that's what they gave the projected budget for. We went back and through the programming and through the ed specifications that were approved by this board, we gave the programming at 63,000 square feet, 63.5, where we're at right now. That's encompassing all the wants and needs of the community that has joined us in the several design meetings that we've had up to this point.
And I welcome the community's input. I really do. However, again, when we're working with the budget, and I'll use this analogy again, when you're building a home, I want the best, but my budget doesn't allow it. I'm going to have to cut back on some of those wants and focus on my needs.
So that's what we're doing now, but right now what the general contractor is working with is a lot of assumptions. So they don't have very specific detailed information, although Ms. Jimenez has given them as much as she can in the process of designing. I can assure you that through the construction documents phase, we will get down below the $30 million. That's the whole idea of coupling an architect with a general contractor, because they talk about constructability and all those numbers to get down below that $30 million.
One more. The manager at risk, foster, you said.
Yes.
That's part of their job too.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Were you done?
Yes, thank you.
Just really quickly, the experience I've had with going through several bonds throughout my career is this is the process that we always take, and it's like an ebb and tide until you reach that number that is expected, correct? So as I was listening to you, and then eventually we'll even maybe get to some savings as we go through the projects, correct?
So we try to maximize the budget, and this is part of the process.
Yeah.
And that's why on the quarterly meeting, I showed you at the schematic design phase, they were about $5 million over the budget.
And we knew that coming in because they're basically dealing with a lot of assumptions. It's very conceptual in nature, and so they have to go based on their experience with past projects, numbers on that, and also making a lot of assumptions. As we start to refine the scope of work, those numbers trend downwards.
Yeah, and I've seen that. I've seen how it ebb and tide, and then it finally homes in onto that. And we might even see some savings as well.
Yes. So when we come to the board with the guaranteed maximum price, it will be below the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. Was that it, Ms. Borrego?
Yes, I'm
I don't want to disagree with Ms. Borrego, but honestly, I think we need to stay within budget. We had a very defined budget. It was very clear. We just heard from Ms. Jimenez that we started at 45,000 square feet, and now we're at 65,000 square feet. The reality of things is that, Ms. Jimenez, you work on educational specs at the beginning. I think you were hired by the district to provide educational specs. And then those were no longer used, and I believe Presidio developed some educational specs, correct? Which is the cookbook of what is needed for the early college. To get to this point, and when you say it's normal, it's really not normal. But when you say we, who's we? Was it the school district? Was it a team? Jordan, MMK, Presidio? Who's we?
It's the program manager, the general contractor, the design team, the administration of the school district, and the community.
So I can very well blame our administration for not bringing this project within the money allocated from the beginning, correct?
Well, we came to the board with educational specifications, and they were approved by the board.
And the educational specifications gave you a budget?
They based it on the budget.
That's correct, right? So there's a cookbook that tells you that it's going to cost you $2.08 to bake this cake. So my biggest concern is that yes, we can say that we're going to refine the cost, and as we get closer to the end of the project, we're going to be within budget. But what happens if we're not? I'm sure the architect is going to ask for additional money to redesign the project. Okay, and it's been my experience. Now, the issue that I'm facing here, once again, we started with 5 buildings. Now we have 3 buildings. Is it that the administration is asking for a lot of things, or are we losing control of this project? What's going on?
The 3, I can answer the 3 buildings to 5 buildings. The square footage didn't change. It was just a matter of combining the buildings, pushing them together.
Mr. Martinez, at the last board meeting, when we presented schematic design, you made some comments about how nice that campus looks.
Yeah, it looks nice.
And so we talked about efficiencies. When we looked and developed the educational specifications, we based it on the budget that you have. There's some inefficiencies to multiple buildings that you don't see in one building, and you know that. So I think we're paying for a little inefficiency, but we know we have a budget that we have to meet. So that means there's going to be other sacrifices, whether there's space, there's other things that go with it. The ed specs were developed to that. With the number of classrooms that you need, the 47,000 was not realistic.
Not realistic?
No. So we're working with it, and we'll work with MMK to make sure that we won't stand here. I will not stand here to bring the project over budget.
Well, my initial approval back then was for 45,000 square feet, about $28.8 million project.
Well, schematic design, it was at 60.
Yeah, and once again, we keep going to schematic design. That's 15% of their contract. Now, we just met yesterday, we were told that we're into construction documents. Once again, I guess we're given not the correct information when we meet some of these presentations.
And we apologize, it feels that way. We've asked Renee to provide her own estimate to substantiate the project budget.
And I agree, but that's why you have a team at risk. And I'm surprised they're not here. That's what forms the team, the contractor, the architect, and you.
Anybody else? I do have, in regards to The concern I have here is what happened with the high school. They did not value engineer without it coming to the board, and they took out 10 feet from the middle. And so I don't want to see that type of value engineering when we're having to address those issues, because that was a big mistake that administration, that because what we had to end up doing was having to build another gymnasium. And so I'm hoping while we're going through the schematic design development, we're able to address the construction documents, and hopefully we're able to get a budget. This is a process. We've seen it come in. There's going to be some value engineering, but we want to make sure that value engineering is done to make sure that we don't affect especially the classroom space. That's the most important, because that's what we need. Okay. Any other questions?
I disagree with you, Ms. 100%. I think if we determine what a budget is, we need to stick by it. We need to move forward. That's what
I'm not saying no.
We committed to our community to really spend that money wisely, and I can't go back to our community and say, it's okay, we're spending another $3 million simply because we dropped the ball.
But they're not saying that. They're gonna get to they're saying is that this is the process, and I've seen the process several times, but they're gonna deliver the project to what you or whatever was voted on. They're gonna not bring it above budget. They're gonna bring it to budget. That's what they're saying.
And let me just say, like, it is our intention every step of the way to be over communicating the whole process. I'm very hesitant sometimes because of this type of discussion. We are not bringing the GMP before you to be approved. We're saying we're in design development, we're at the end of design development, and we know that we need to refine the scope to get under the budget and still bring the best school that we can for the early college high school students.
So you are saying that you're gonna bring the square footage to 45,000 square feet? Is that what you're saying?
No. We're going to maximize as much space as we can for the budget that we have, so that the kids, the students, and staff get the best building that they deserve. As your program manager, that's our intention.
On budget.
On budget.
Yeah.
But to my different century, because I have to redesign for a project that was in my contract to build between 47,000 and 52. I'm sorry, I'm going to defend myself. My contract is to build a building that is between 45,000 square feet to 52,000 square feet with a budget of 28. But you're expecting me to meet the 28, but you're discounting the fact that you gave it based on a square footage. That's not fair.
Profit margin just got reduced.
Who made
that?
And I agree, that was my point. We started, we knew what we wanted, we knew what we needed, we gave you, not the design, but we told you the specificities. We gave you a budget, and it's changed. And I understand, Mr. Ortiz, what you're saying is that the 47,000 square feet was not adequate to house 500 students, okay? And I also understand that the community is wanting additional stuff, right? That are wants, quite frankly. But we have to stick with what the plan was. If we gave a contract for this much, then we have to stick to it, all right? So again, if you buy a lot where you're gonna build a house and it's only 47,000 square feet, we gotta do our best to stick within that. And the last thing I'm gonna say is don't hesitate. It's better that you keep us completely 100% informed, please.
I agree.
Thank you.
And I'm not going to argue contracts here before you. We'll do that in Ms. Jimenez.
I would like to know who requested the changes.
I received a contract that was based on a 47 to 52,000 square foot building that was built within a budget of 28.8. And then once we started schematic design, we were given a program that was at 65,000 square feet. We've designed a building at 63,500 underneath the program square footage. We were able to cut from the program.
And that was through your process of schematic design.
The program was given to us before we started schematic design.
So is that the procedure?
Correct.
But during schematic design, the input that was gotten, because I attended some of those meetings, and I understand where some of those are wants, some of those we might be able to incorporate with the
I wasn't
budget.
involved in the program piece of it. The program was given to me to design.
I'm talking about when you were getting community input.
But it wasn't on the program. It had nothing to do with square footage.
Okay.
It had to do with
I'm
the
not
design.
gonna argue like the details of square footage
Yeah.
versus budget, because I think what we're trying to figure out is you as an architect should work with our community to design the best facility. And when you're in that process, you're getting that feedback, and of course there's gonna be wants and needs. But when those wants and needs, it's your duty as well to be able to bring back into that.
Which we
And
have.
so, that's what I would expect, and I expect it from both of you.
Yes, and that's what we've done.
That's incorrect. I think when you're given a cookbook, a recipe to build a facility, you're given those number of classrooms, that program, and you design your school based on that information that you're given.
That is correct.
I mean, the question is, who came up with the 47,000? Was that from the previous, which would have been you?
Yes.
Under helping the program management?
That's
So I see it.
Yeah. It was based, the original one was based on,
Which was
the
what you
portables,
pulled out?
which was 47,000 with a budget of 28.8.
I expect you all to bring it in budget and make sure that we do what our community wants and needs, and that's what the goal is.
I just want to clarify, so when he's saying, the 47,000 that was originally, brought forward, that's from the past, is that facilities master plan, or what is that from? Administration? The 47,000 that's mentioned, that was prepared by MNK originally, what are we talking about, past bonds?
It was, yeah, it was
Past
past,
bonds,
we performed, very preliminary pre-bond services, not a full pre-bond service. So it was based on the number of portables that were on the campus and the student capacity, and that was it. So this one has a multi-purpose room that wasn't part of our original. It has a half basketball court, which is not part of our original. Has those type of spaces.
Okay, that was actually my next question, is what was added in addition to bring it from 47 to 63.5? So the multi-purpose room, the basketball courts, anything else in particular?
You had collaboration.
You mentioned an amphitheater?
The amphitheater was the exterior, but that was already cut. We cut that out of the value engineering process, so it's not currently in the project.
So besides the basketball court and
it was these collaboration spaces that were not, what we were tasked with was to take the portables away and provide a campus that just met that square footage.
so then the budget of 28 million was based on the 47,000 square feet, not necessarily what we wanted it to be. So that's somewhere where
yes.
I just kind of want to ask, who dropped the ball there in regard to not planning accordingly for the space that we were going to want? Because I think from the very beginning, we told the community in all of our bonds committee meetings that this was going to be an elaborate new building for Northwest Early College. So where did the miscommunication come from? Was it from administration from the beginning to Presidio, like during the beginning initial steps, or where did we fall where we can fix that for the future? Yeah, please.
I think what we need to do is, I think what we need, just go back and research. My understanding is you're saying that you could build the same campus because you originally put the 47,000 when we were looking for the bond, right? And that's where we got the 47,000. So you're saying that we could build the campus for 47,000 without making sure it had, all the classrooms and everything, right? So I think you all figure it out and then come back.
It's not a matter of pointing fingers, because we're all in this together. The facts are that the 47,000 square feet was based on what you have right now in portable buildings. The portable buildings don't meet TEA specifications. So 47,000 square feet is not what you want. You don't want a 47,000 square foot building for 500 to 600 students. And so the programming moved that to 65,000 square feet. Now we're working along with Ms. Jimenez, and she's been very good, a good partner with us in making sure that we lose some of the square footage that is inefficient, and then working along with our general contractor to get more specifications in so that their prices come down. It's already trending downwards, and I am very confident that when we come with the GMP, it's going to be at the budget or below the budget.
Mr. Ortiz, I agree with you. And I think for some of us that have designed an elementary, it's usually about 90,000, small elementary, 90,000 square feet. And the reality of things, that's for 600 kids. Okay, now you're talking about 500 kids with 47,000 square foot building or facility. You know, we're shy somewhere. We dropped the ball somewhere in there. Okay, I understand what you're fixing right now. I think we would what I recommend that we do, let's come together, let's discuss it, let's see what we can do, because the reality of things is it's a small facility. It's a campus, but the square footage are so limited for the number of kids that we want to serve. Right? That's a reality of things.
Any other questions? No, thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll take this to next.
Item 4B, the Davenport Elementary School Design Development Presentation. Presenter, Florida Architects.
Good evening. Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez, Dr. Galeries, thank you very much. My name is Pablo Reyes. I'm a project manager with Blue Architects, and we're here to give you an update on the Davenport Elementary School. So with me I have Bruno Vasquez with Probationary Architects, and then the hour Tony Valencia, he's the senior design architect. So this slide is here just to kind of orientate and remind everyone where we're at, because we were at a meeting last night at the high school, and somebody asked, where is the project going on? So we thought that everybody knew where it was, so we left this slide here so we can, obviously we know where currently the Davenport is. The new site is going to be south in the Enchanted Hills subdivision. Next one. So just a brief overview of where we came from and where we're at today. So back in October of last year, we began meeting with the steering committee. Our first meeting we had was a discovery meeting. That was back in October. That's where we met with the steering committee. We met with some of the students over there. We asked the campus to provide a student survey for us. We got a bunch of great feedback from the students in the community at that point. A month later, we met again with the steering committee. This was our mitigation process. We did a little exercise. We showed a bunch of images. They put dots on what they liked, what they did not like, and we took that feedback back and helped to shape the design. Finally, the last phase was the concept. That's when we came back to the steering committee and we presented where we were at so far with the feedback that we received with the concept design. Out of those meetings, we were able to establish 3 guiding principles that we are trying to follow through and throughout the entire process of the design. First is well-being. Right? Davenport Elementary will serve as an important tool in the role of well-being for both students and the staff. Our second guiding principle was a future-focused campus. The design of the elementary school will include learning environments essential for preparing students for their future. And then our third guiding principle was being versatile and adapt. The design of the elementary school will feature versatile and adaptable spaces that support systems for student collaboration and differentiation. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Tony, our designer, and he will take it to the rest of the process.
I'm glad to be here in front of you to give you an update. So just a quick reminder, we started with guiding principles with the community, because with building, when you build a building, it's easy just to go quickly to walls and roof and cost. But at the end of the day is what is the outcome, what we really want to achieve, that these buildings and what impact. I always think like teachers are going to make the magic happen, but having the best stages is really what may provide a better way to provide education. So after we set the guiding principles, based on those guiding principles and based on the site that we knew, we explored different ways of doing the school. And through those different ways and different organization of the space, we provided different options. What you see on the screen is some of those options that we talk about pros and cons of laying the school different ways. Through that exercise, we talked, it was not really the outcome of one, but we talked through pros and cons of each one. So if you go to the next one, the culmination of the concept really resonated through many different lenses. One is two schools coming together. So we started with this idea of the school in the north and the school in the south really coming together and creating an outdoor environment. That first guiding principle was about well-being. So providing outdoor spaces for students. So what we started with is like that center outdoor area that was protected. So students playing and students doing outdoor learning would not be exposed to the side of the building, but they will be protected by the building. The school was going to be able to show. After that, one of the things that drives the design a lot was the geographical location of where you have, and students be reminded of everywhere where they're at. We always talked about the view into the mountains and how can that shape their day-to-day. So the angle, the logic of even just rotating, why not having a straight building, but the angle, it was really to frame the view. So the orientation of the whole school and the angle really frames the view, so it doesn't matter where you're at in school and where you go, really was really through that lens. And in the middle, you see that last bar that connecting both bars, both white bars, and that is what links the north bar and the south bar, and that's all your commons, all your art classrooms, libraries, special education. So your travel distance get minimized just by having all that centralized. So that was a concept that really started just shaping, because it's easy just to start placing things on the board, but having some meaning on how to minimize travel distance, how to have access to outdoors, that's what really started just organizing the whole scheme. So if you don't mind going to the next slide. These are just images as we start talking about some of the things that we wanted to create with this school. These are images that the community picked, and some of these big vision in terms of creating outdoor spaces, outdoor moments, covered areas. Sound is a big thing in this area of the world. So how do we be mindful of those spaces? So these were just before we even started carving away, really some of the inspiration areas. So, if you go to the next slide, please.
Well, where do you have the administration building?
Sorry, can you go back? So everything that's in red, that's the administration. So that's you come in right at the middle.
Okay.
And right in the middle of the bars.
Important.
Yep.
Be in the middle.
And then from that point, the observability in the school is really easy. So the bridge that you have, and we actually brought a model, that's a physical model. Sometimes we thought it was a better way, so that way, we should explain better at the end if you want to spend some time. But a lot of the administrations are in the middle, so you can stand right in the middle, and there's a transparency on that bridge, so somebody can be in the middle of the school and observe all your outdoor areas as well as your corridors. So from a supervision point of view, it's going to be a very easy campus to supervise with without too many obscure corners and a lot of hallways.
Okay. I couldn't see what that's.
And I'll show you the floor plans in a second.
Yeah.
So I'm just walking you through some of the steps. This is a site layout. So the building sits on the, and it's a little wide, but the building sits on the middle of the property. A lot of the drop off on the front, similar to the current Diana Davenport, creating two drop off areas. And a lot of the play fields on the back, and more of the student courtyards and playgrounds in between. On the sides of the buildings, where you have the roads, what we're doing is we're burning up. So that way, even those areas get protected, so any car driving won't be able to just look into any sort of students, or from a safety point of view, we're trying to protect outdoor areas from the public way. And the fencing and all of that is in place just by default of the regulations. Can you go to the next slide, please? These are just in a nutshell the layout. So everything in that red is administration areas where you may have some staff. The school is really laid out in a very simple way. You have neighborhoods rather than just hallways and classrooms. So neighborhoods, you have neighborhoods for every grade level. So every leg represents a grade level. And on one in the northwest corner, sorry, it's all your assembly spaces. Your gymnasium, cafeteria, they coexist, so that way if you have a bigger assembly space, you can open up and combine and utilize both spaces at once. The stage is there, and the stage is next to the music, so all of that has some intention behind it. If you go to the next slide, in the second floor, everything is stacked just to try to find some efficiencies, but what you see that in the middle area, that's a yellow, or that yellow bar, it's more the library, it's what connects. So students, as they go up and down, that's what they interact. So libraries and these spaces, they are not destinations, but it's just part of the day-to-day as they go to lunch, as they go to eat, and they interact. So it's about energizing some of those spaces that traditionally sometimes they're not.
And will that be each neighborhood as well too? The classrooms do wrap around a large collaboration space. So all the classrooms can come out and use the space.
I'm glad you brought that up. So in every leg, you see kind of like those blue boxes, and then in the middle is that yellow, and we'll see you a visual of that what it looks like. So neighborhoods, they are in a way protected, so that way it's not about just the classroom itself, but the neighborhoods, they are able to compartmentalize. So that grade could close their doors and just be more of a neighborhood if the rest of the school is too loud. So it creates more of a sense of belonging in each neighborhood. So if you go to the next slide, please. As we start refining the rest of the space, we have to have some sort of compass in terms of the decision making. And the guiding principle serves us to have that, but then we started really peeling away with this idea of the region and framing the mountains. And having a school, if you go to the next slide, having a school that frames the view in a day-to-day. So we grab these images and inspiration of what the school could be for a kid. What if the school was like that? That is just, it's beyond what happens in the classroom, but as well in the transitional space. So if you go to the next slide, please. These are a series of images when we started asking the community about what is the right character, the right feeling of the school. We provided a bunch of images of different type of architectural characteristics. So one of the things that the school really wanted to do is having, these are the group of images they picked in terms of being a school that is earth, that feels like it belongs, having natural materials, playful but yet not too cartoonish. So we talked through all of this, so that way we have a lens of what is the right language, because in every district, every community, that may change. So, so go to the next slide. These images were what we brought very initial, 2 months ago, I think, before we even started signing the envelope, just as we were working the scale, what is that massing started to look like? So these were images that we presented last time, before we even started really developing the facades of the buildings. Can you go to the next slide? So I think the next two is what we showed you in the past. And if you go to the next one, as we start carving away, we started then playing with the material palette. And what is that typical? So what you see here is a little section of a wall that what we are intended. So initially we started with having the base, something that is more clean, and we started more with a concrete base and having more of a metal panel, lighter feel, so that way you would have a continuous concrete wall, 2-story highs, so softening that up and really articulating the horizontality that you have in a mountain range or in a landscape. Because as we're dealing with costs and working with our contractor, we're right now considering the use of concrete on the base in lieu of ephes but the ephes in combination with rock, so you have the durable material in the bottom. That's kind of like that ribbon that you see below the windows in the first floor. In between that, we have ephes that maximizes cost, and then you have metal panel in the upper areas that just allows us to play with some texture and color.
So durability is concerned, so we're trying to keep them with durable materials like a stone, the masonry ground metal. So it's
So if you go to the next slide, these are some of the images that are starting to shape up in the school. So as you can tell, we're using a lot of materials that are tone similar to those precedents that the community selected. Really having a defined entrance, a sense of entry, sense of pride in there. Go to the next image, if you don't mind. This is more of that, a close look into that entrance. Another thing that we did is in the classroom, you see those windows poking out, and the orientation of those windows are actually framing towards the mountain. So again, even within the classroom, you have small alcoves that it's just not about having just looking into a parking lot, but really framing some of that experience for the kiddos. Can you go to the next slide? There's another view of you pulling off into the campus. And in the next slide, we show more of the internal feel of those courtyards. On the left-hand side, that is the access to the cafeteria, so we have even some potential areas for outdoor dining. In the opposite end, what you see there is you see a little bit carved in the building across, so that's a neighborhood. So every neighborhood has an area right outside their neighborhood where a teacher can actually say, let's go outside, and they will be in a covered area, but they're still in outdoors. So really promoting, that was one of the, going back to the guiding principles, versatile and well-being was part of our guiding principles for providing outdoor opportunity for a teacher without having to cross the whole campus, really in front of their classroom to have the opportunity to go outside and be protected, not being next to the road. I think that was something that inspired some of those outdoor classroom settings.
I'm sorry, what is the material that looks like grass? Is it grass or is it turf?
Good question. It's turf. So we're doing artificial turf in those areas. We have two areas and the two sides. So what you see in the middle there, there's two things happening. In the top, you're seeing the library on top of. Below is really a hallway, so it's very transparent. We wanted to keep that very transparent from observability, the thing that we mentioned early on. But in between those areas, in one area you have outside the cafeteria, and that is meant if you have an event, you can open up that and you have that space available outside, and that's turf. And in the other side, you have another smaller area that it could be served for congregations or for larger events, like graduations.
What's on this side of the playground?
And this side?
Yeah, is it the view of the mountains?
The view of the mountains is actually straight. I will show you in a second.
So, you see where the playground is? Is there another building enclosing it, or is it just open?
It opens up in here to the view, but you have that berm, so that way you won't see the road. You will see almost like you go out to the view, so it kind of like guides you more towards the sky in the mountain range, rather than the road and the houses across the street. And we have some visuals in here. Can you go to the next slide? This is one of those moments outside those neighborhoods, those outdoor classrooms. So inside that, this is the other side of the courtyard. So where you see there is a covered area that opens up to, think of it like a living room space. So you have all the classrooms. Outside the classroom, there's a collaboration, which we call a living room. Then outside the living room is this little space that any teacher can get in.
One question that I have. For primary classrooms, you usually have a very controlled environment. Do you have it in your design?
What do you mean by controlled environment?
Pre-kinder, first grade, second grade. Control where for small kids, in other words.
Yes, like you have a classroom, and that's a very...
But outside, do you have that outside?
Oh, outside, like a control, like a fence?
Yes.
We don't have a fenced outdoor area for it.
The other question that I have, synthetic turf. What is the life of synthetic turf?
It depends on the quality.
More or less.
Typically, it can go up to from 10 to 15 years. It's not really like if you do a football field, I think they're kind of used to replace it.
It's different, yes.
This is more heavily.
But for kids,
for recreational, it could
8
last
years?
up to, I I would say even more.
But isn't that too hot though? Synthetic turf in El Paso is really, really hot.
Yeah. Now, the other thing is with the proportions of the building, that area, because it's closer, the building itself will shade a lot of that area, other area. So if it hits it, yes, and we start doing some, that's why we're keeping the areas of the synthetic turf closer to that, where it opens up to that X shape or the V shape to provide more shade into that space.
I think that's important because synthetic turf in El Paso gets very, very hot. I can't walk barefoot on mine. My dogs avoid it. It gets really hot, so I think that we need to really look at that just to make sure, because we can get little kids.
And there's different types. There's some that like the one that is just a layer with the hairs. There's some that have more absorption. So that's a great one to look at.
Ben, so I have a really quick question. I see a lot of glass throughout the top floor, and I'm looking at the map. How far away are you from the court? Because I know that sometimes I'm at CMS, which is probably like 2 miles away or more, and I can feel those explosions when they happen. I mean, it rattles.
Yeah.
So how our structural integrity is it going to hold those explosions there at that court?
Yes, we are.
So one of the things that we're considering is the small size of the glass panel itself. We're avoiding big, even though you have a lot of glass, it's broken down, and you're going to be able to see it in the video where we have strategically placed mullions and divisions within the glass to avoid that vibration specifically.
So you've taken that into account?
Yeah.
I want to show you some of the interior, because sometimes architects dwell a lot in the exterior. So I want to point out there's Leah Vanderson. She's poured her heart into this project. In a physical model, she did it in the past 3 weeks. She hasn't sleep, but she worked with the kiddos early on to really start thinking about like what is the right environment for them. Because adults we always think what's right, but like really asking them and what they gravitate towards. So what we did is we did this exercise where we, the community and some of the kiddos that were there, we asked about what are the type of spaces, what learning environment would excite them, they want to be, what type of excitement would they like for their school to be look like. So through that exercise, there's the next 2 slides show some of those spaces that they picked in terms of what the library wants to look like, what the classroom wants to look like, and some of the in-between spaces. So those are some of the images that we took as inspiration, and from those we started really shaping the interior part of the building. So the next couple of slides just shows the some of the going back to the analogy of the concept still we carry it so that way it doesn't feel like a different design from the outside to the inside, still the same. So if you go to the next slide. We talked to the community. Initially, we started really thinking about colors. What does that mean with the current colors of Davenport, with some of the more natural colors that they were striving for? How does that really inform even some of the feel for the inside of the building? The next slide shows some of the very preliminary, this is the phase that we're in right now. When we're starting to talk to the community, we presented this board of some of the colors for neighborhoods and even the finishes. So this is a very brief palette for each neighborhood. You have color that may help with wayfinding, as well as everything that will tie the whole neighborhood. So can you go to the next one, please? And these are some of the views. This is right at the entrance of the school. As you come in, you have a secure vestibule. That's where you check in. There's a waiting area and a parent room behind this image, but this is where you check in. After you check in, if you go to the next image, shows this is some of the administration. So this is on the other side of the secure vestibule. Next image, please. As you go in, this is one of the main things that you see. This is the stair that connects, the ties the upstairs with the downstairs, and this is in rather that bow tie. The stair was inspired by a mountain, but also it faces a mountain. So if you have a lecture and you're doing any sort of gathering there, the view there is by where the whole school is inspired. Above that, you see part of the library. The library is split into two areas. One that is what we call the quiet library and the open library, meaning that we want students to engage, but sometimes there's functions that need to happen more in a control environment. So this school will have opportunity for both. Next slide, please. This is, as you go up, you can see how the view is framed towards the mountains, and that's a stair leading down. And here we're walking towards the library. On the left-hand side, this is the open area. On the right-hand side, this is where you have those two courtyards on either side of the campus. Next slide. This is at the library in conjunction back. Next slide, please. This is one of those neighborhoods, so what you see there is all the classrooms on the perimeter. This is that living room space, and outside, this is that, I show you the rendering from the outside, looking into that little screen area. This is now looking from the inside of the building towards that outdoor classroom space. And next slide, please. And this is the same condition on the second floor. We have, because one of our guiding principles access to outdoor as well with what happens on the second floor for the neighborhoods and grade levels that are on the second floor. So we have a control outdoor area, like an outdoor porch that is a screen. That's why you see that screen, but even on the second level, we have access to outdoors to promote that outdoor connection and an outdoor classroom setting.
Quick question, is that wood form?
What's that?
Is that wood form?
No, we're doing LVT, thank you. We're doing LVT in all the mornings for things. It looks like wood, but it's LVT. It's easy to maintain. Next slide, please. This is looking at the cafeteria. That's the stage that you see there, looking towards the courtyard. In the where these rendering stands, you see that opening. We have a partition door that opens up and connects the gym. On a day-to-day, you probably have that closed, but if you want to open it, you have this opportunity. And I think we have an image that shows the other side, maybe. Go to the next. So this is the view of the cafeteria on the other side, the stage on the right-hand side. But with the partition, with that opening right now, looking into the gymnasium and the tunnel in the far end. Next slide. No, that's it. You want that budget?
Yeah, so currently our budget is $50,468,000. We did get a budget increase recently of $2.4 million due to mechanical system request that the district had made. Currently, when we did the initial SD estimate, we had a different mechanical system in place. We got some feedback from the district, and which caused us to increase the system, which needed additional funding.
Can I ask what kind of mechanical system?
Yeah, so originally we were coming in with an RTU package system with our rooftop units, but in meeting with Presidio and the district, there was a request to do a 4-pipe chiller system at the elementary school in communication with our contractor. It would have really blown the budget if we moved that system. So in working with the team, we did find a more comparable system, which is kind of middle ground. It's called the VRF system, which is not necessarily a true RTU type system, but it's still a very efficient system and easy accessible, and is not as complicated as a 4-pipe system.
May I have the floor?
Just a follow-up question.
I'm not into construction and I don't know all these VR and 4-pipe chiller language. We're talking refrigerated air?
Correct, yes, it's all refrigerated, yes, ma'am. Yes.
VRF is variable refrigerant flow, yes.
Thank you.
It's very highly efficient.
Yeah, and that's, there's no doubt. Once again, I see you were given an increase of $2.5 million.
That was within the project budget.
So it is within the project budget?
Yes, we had a construction budget, but we also had a budget that we accounted for escalation, and we're using the escalation to put the VRF system, and the VRF system will be at both middle schools and the elementary school, the new builds.
So, Mr. Ortiz, what's remaining in your budget? Obviously, you gave a $2.5 million budget. So what is remaining in that budget that you obviously did not allocate for this project specifically?
For construction,
Yes.
just the contingency, the owner contingency.
So that is the only thing remaining?
Yes.
So we had extra money, 2.5, and now we gave them the 2.5, and now the only thing we have is the contingency in case there's an unforeseeable condition down the line.
Yes.
And who approved that from the district?
Working alongside with the administration, we had initial talks on the rooftop units, which are highly inefficient. We met with the maintenance department as well, Dr. Rico, and his staff has recently been trained on the VRF system. And so, in conjunction with the administration, we decided to increase the budget.
Yeah, because that's the district employees don't have that experience, obviously. So it's going to be a new system for them to learn. My other question is, did that come before this board where we were increasing that money, or are we not supposed to get that approved? How does that work?
No, it's not a board process. It was already in the project itself. So we didn't have to come to the board to approve that. It was already in the budget.
Okay. The other question that I have is the original square footage for this facility, the square feet.
About 119, 120,000 square feet.
119, 120. How much do we have now?
We're at 124.
124,000 square feet. More or less?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. I know you mentioned playful. And that's what I've seen in your facilities. Fluger is known in some of these conventions have very playful elementary school. To me, this looks like a high school with those big spaces with a seating as you stepping down. You saw right there, beautiful. Some of the images you showed us has color, and it's very, very small scale. I think that relationship is more adequate for an elementary kid, in my opinion. Okay? Some of these huge spaces, for example, that I mentioned to you before, have some huge 3-level spaces, say two floor spaces outside with a covered cage. It might look attractive, but eventually the kids are not going to be there. I'm looking for something magical, to be honest with you. And I've seen you do that before. I know CDA has done some great facilities where they involve a lot of color and a lot of magic for the kids to really explore. But I don't see it here, unfortunately. That's my opinion. One thing also that I saw is you have materials. I like the glass, fabulous. I love the panels. But you also have stucco or EIF, but then you have a banding of stone. But it's only in some areas, correct? Or is that throughout on the perimeter?
It will be throughout the perimeter.
Okay. And the base was made white just in case kids want to
again,
mistreat the walls, I guess. Which happens. I'm telling you because I have a 10-year-old and he does it all the time.
Yeah, same reason why we didn't bring down the metal panel, because we know the metal panel.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't blame you. One thing that I also noticed inside your school, you have some corridors that have glazing facing to the inside of the corridor. But then you have classrooms that don't have an opening or have a window to the outside. Is that typical of the school design now these days?
How a window to the outside?
You look at take a look at your layout, for example. There's some corridors on the inside that look into your courtyard that are facing obviously the courtyard, and then you go into the classroom. Is that typical?
That is typical, and that was by intent.
Are you there? Yes. So, can we look at the layout real quick? I'm just curious if we get the natural light and the sunlight facing south on a afternoon, May the 2nd, where the sun is intense, coming from the south, which is very, very strong.
If you go to the, keep on going.
You keep on going.
So the two hole,
right there. Which way is north?
right up.
Okay, so if we're looking south, that wall facing, you see right there on top, we're gonna get a lot of light.
So that's where we have that screen that offsets like about 20 feet, so the one that faces south.
And that screen will protect the UV light for what percent? 10%, 50%?
Well, it goes up to 10 feet, and by the time we can, if you want, Mr. Martinez, we can do a sun analysis and really show that.
I'm just curious, if we can protect at least 30% of the natural rate, would be great, because El Paso has a very damaging natural sun. It's great in the summer, but I tell you, it destroys everything, and some of those classrooms, walking through there would be a sun. And even though glass is great, and we've made a lot of improvements over the years, I'm of the opinion we're gonna be hot. The kids are gonna be hot. So if you can do something just to bring back to us,
yep,
and give us that feedback, will be fantastic.
Let me just point out, like the classroom, anything that's on your heavy academic areas, you have two on the south, like, so that glass is facing north, so there's no direct sunlight. The ones that we looked at is, you have the northeast wing, that's a classroom wing. There's, the hallway doesn't have any glass on that side, it's only on the south.
Is that the pre-K kinder side?
That is the pre-K kinder, yes.
Okay.
And in front of that glass, you have, I want to say like from your podium, the shade stops there, so that outdoor area is doing two things. It's doing an outdoor niche within the building, but also it puts your building deeper, your glass facade deeper, so your sun doesn't get direct into the main academic areas. So,
Does it extend all the way to the kinder and pre-K room?
yes.
It does?
Yeah, you have those areas that when we show perspective with the level of outdoor, that's exactly the same thing here.
You know, one thing that I hate to give Socorro as kudos for one elementary they built was, they did a beautiful exterior courtyard. It became like an amphitheater type of thing.
Purple Heart.
And it was great. It was a very,
The school reminded me of that.
you would maintain, well, yes, that's true.
It did remind me a
We bring
lot.
the kids back into that courtyard, and I noticed that your stage is on the, closer to the building. Okay? Just food for thought, something to consider. Just see if we can do that.
Any other questions? We do have one more thing we'd like to show you guys, if that's okay. It's just a small video of a fly through the building, if that's okay.
We gave them 20 minutes, so we want to respect your time. If you don't want to see the video, we don't
They can
have to
send it
show
over. Yeah, they
it.
can
We
send
can
it over
send it to
to-
you in a
send it.
packet.
Send it.
How long is the video?
Minute and a half to minute.
Let's do it.
Thank you, appreciate that.
So we have some very artistic folks in our firm that will plan even with angles and how the intro was, but what you're seeing in here is an entrance into the building, how somebody would experience it. Sometimes it's hard to communicate that in still images. We've been trying to be very transparent with animations, physical model, and right now with the questions about where the outdoor is, I really welcome you to come and look at the model, because that may actually answer some of the questions. So you're gonna start seeing through the shadow footage. We're gonna see some of the inside of the building. So these are some of the, you can see, and these are some of the windows that actually they rotate. So to frame, to have those experiences within those classrooms. So this is something that you will have in the classrooms. And again, this is more to Mr. Martinez's questions. We actually came to the committee with like three different actually designs. And this was not something that it was our first ride, and that's the one we're sticking to. Like, we had a lot of refined ideas.
You also provided those three different designs in schematic design.
This is the view, and that's a lot of green. The turf will be probably filled back. As you're coming into the school, this is the secure vestibule as you go in. And we're still working on interiors, we're still missing some color in here, but as you get into that center portion, this is that part of the campus that it's almost like a crossroads, and how you go from all the levels, the library on the second floor, so kids coming in and out. It's a very, we'll call it culture builder of the space. This is the library. You have two areas in the library, open area and an area that is more focused, but again, those views are actually against the sun, so you don't have any direct sun.
especially on that side of the bridge. There's a makerspace that you have there. This is some of the, this is a little fast, I apologize. But these are some of the collaboration spaces outside the classrooms. Cafeteria with looking outside with the stage.
Do you have partition between the stage and the cafeteria?
Yes.
So you went from 120 to 124. What was the reason for the increase?
No, right now there is an inconsistency in our plan, and this is something we have to fix. We just issued DDs, so from a design intent was really that 24 really increased. We have classrooms in our floor plans, you'll see in the stack. When we were talking about creating a shadow, some of the second classroom got increased by mistake. From a design perspective, that's why I'm very confident to tell you, like, we are going in the right direction in terms of sticking to that 20, so we're not increasing square footage.
What is the capacity?
It's 800, some.
800?
A little over.
It looks a lot bigger, in my opinion, but maybe it's just the picture.
It's like when somebody's selling their house and you see it on Facebook and it's gigantic.
Right.
It's optics.
My next, two more questions. So when you show the entrance, is the entrance facing I-10 or is it facing south?
It's facing south.
It's facing south, okay. And so with that in mind, when you look at the design where you're going in, your main access road, it's showing access from I-10. On your, it says main entrance is over here, but then it's showing access. If you go back, Adrian, if you can, maybe 2 slides or 1 slide. Yeah. Okay. So you see where it says main entrance, but then it says access from I-10?
I-10 is way back there.
Way to the west.
Yeah, way to the west.
Can you go back one, we're actually the very front of
The second slide.
the second slide, on the very top.
You can see the here. So this is, the school is in here, so the entrance into the neighborhood will be from I-10, and you're coming in from the south.
Right, but that's my question. The entrance into the neighborhood from I-10, are they having to go all the way around to Trans Mountain, or are they gonna use that? I think they're building a new one at Moshi's.
They're extending Los Mochis with that overpass.
Yes.
That's gonna be your access to that neighborhood.
That's what I wanted to.
And they still come south through the neighborhood, so I believe there'll eventually be another entry point north of that as well.
Right. So the other access point is gonna be the extension of Northwestern Drive, and that's gonna be what makes that.
Okay. Thank you. That was it.
I just wanted to thank the city for being here and for everybody. I know that it's a lot of work what you're doing, and you can see that you're very proud of the designs and how they're coming across, and I thank you all for that. I think we're just trying to, we have the responsibility that we need to make sure, for our constituents, that we stay within budget. And that what we promise is what we give the community of Canudillo, and they deserve that. It's a lot of money that, people this bond is a hefty bond. So we need to make sure that we try and stay within budget, and of course, if, things are gonna come up, and you're gonna meet with administration, but as long as we stay in the loop the way we are right now, I think that's gonna be very helpful in the future. Thank you for everything you're doing.
I was just gonna.
I recommend that you bring your team back, your construction, your CM address this time. I'd like to hear a little more from them and where you're coming with your budget. But it's based on my understanding, you're about 30% construction documents right now?
No, they just finished design development, so they're entering into construction.
Right. Mr. Ortiz, you're answering for them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I really want to lock you to a date because I would like to see this construction taken out. As fast as we can do it, the better it will be. I think that our community needs it, and we would like to see it.
Yeah, currently we didn't show the schedule here, but currently we are scheduled to be done early August with the construction documents.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just a quick analysis. I was actually looking at the first numbers that NIK got. in regards to, let's say, the square footage of an elementary school. If that was at 129 and we're actually below that, but I bet you there's a lot more ed specs that align in regards to elementary schools because of the amount versus the Northwest or the early colleges, because it's still such a new thing, and it has different spaces. So I would like just a report back to the board on a Friday packet like you've done on some of the other stuff. Maybe some, so that way if there is miscommunication out there, we could say, okay, this is, you know, it originally started at 47,000, but once we started looking at the programming of those programs, this is whatever it's going to be. I mean, you're the experts on that, but that's just sort of analysis, and that way we could have that information in case we do, because I think that might be the issue. It might not be, it might, but you could provide that. The only other thing, and I was going to say that I got distracted with the last conversation, was just making sure that when we're building these buildings, my biggest thing is that we're looking at long-term, you know, durable products that are going to outlast us for years. I mean, I don't know if anybody's done a Lone Star, but these aren't as pretty versus some of the stuff that I see. So how do we, whether it's inside and outside, I know you all had looked at EFIS versus other. I think looking at those options is still, I see EFIS. I was just at Cimarron Canyon this week, and I just see where EFIS is just, you know, falls apart over time. So I think that's something critical in the long term. But I think overall, I'm extremely excited of the process, the community engagement, and the amount of involvement we've gotten throughout this process, and as we continue to see it evolve as something exciting. And as we know, it's construction. It's always evolving, right? But I appreciate not only our staff's time, our principals and those teachers and students that were part of this process, and of course our team, whether it's your team working with the city on our team. At the end of the day, it's some exciting work that's going to happen for our community. My understanding, the next phase, the construction documents won't come to us, right?
The GMP will.
The GMP, yes, okay, perfect. And so, and hopefully that will show that we're in budget, so we could move forward, so.
We'll make sure we're in budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 5, consent agenda voting.
Please, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
All in favor, motion passes.
Just a 5-minute break. I think the next item is exactly right.
Yes. Executive session.
We'll be in this room.
Item number 6, executive session. To consult with attorney under sections 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.076 of the Texas Government Code. A certified agenda or recording of a closed meeting is confidential and is not available to the public except by court order. A person who knowingly and without lawful authority makes a certified agenda recording public remains a Class C misdemeanor. Any exceptions will be communicated in accordance with applicable policies and regulations. Item 6A, receive and discuss intruder detection.
Are you ready? You don't have any comments? No.
Time is 11:04 p.m.
Now we'll take this to what item?
Item number 7, new business. 7A, district report and intruder detection audit was conducted by the district by Region 19, Texas Education Agency, TA. Findings will be shared with the district school safety and security committee and the board of trustees. A plan action is in place and will be shared with the board of trustees. Presenter Steve Blanco.
Thank you. Steve Blanco, legal counsel for the district. Chief Martinez provided you all the update and the plan of action regarding this item in the closed session. This additional new business will be conducted when the findings are shared with the district school safety and security committee. Any further updates will be provided to the board at a later date. And there's no action required on this item.
I'll take us to the next item.
Item 7B, secondary program offerings redesign.
If possible, to make this go a little smoother, with your approval, Mr. President, I'd like to read off this item and handle it as we categorize them in certain ways.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Item 7B under new business, the secondary program offering redesign. This agenda item is for discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation of administration. Proposed non-renewal of the 2024-2025 term contract with the following individuals under policy DFFB as part of the district reduction in force and a result of program and staffing changes approved by the board. I'm going to take these individually under item B1. The first is that the administration recommends the board accept proposal of the administration to issue a notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to S. Somerville, an AMS school teacher. I'll need a vote separately on each one of these items.
All right.
Do we have a motion to approve the recommendation of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to S. Somerville, teacher at AMS?
You could, if anybody wanted to take it to S. Somerville. Does somebody want to move?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second.
Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item would be that the administration recommends that the board accept the proposal of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to C. Ontiveros, a teacher at AMS school.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
The next item is that the administration recommends that the board accept the proposal of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to P. Padilla, teacher at AMS school.
I move. I so move. I second.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Zuniga. Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is the administration recommends that the board accept the proposal of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to J. Villalobos, the teacher at AMS school.
I so move.
There's a second.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
No.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is the administration recommends that the board accept the proposal of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to M. Plum Gardner, a teacher at CMS.
Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second.
Yes. I so moved, sorry.
A motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Mrs. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I didn't catch my second.
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is that the administration recommends that the board accept the proposal of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal term contract under policy DFFB for M. Crocker, a teacher at CMS.
Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second.
I second.
Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item is the administration recommends the board accept the proposal of the administration to recommend non-renewal term contract under policy DFFB of B. Brandon Berger, a teacher at CMS.
I so move. I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is the administration recommends that the board accept the recommendation of the administration to propose a non-renewal term contract under policy DFFB of G. O'Connor, CMS teacher.
Is there a motion?
I move.
Second.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is the administration recommends that the board accept the recommendation, and the proposal of the administration to issue notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB for the term contract of G. Moran, a CMS teacher.
Is there a motion?
I move.
Is there a second?
I second.
Adrian, there's a motion and a second. Can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The final item number 71 is that the administration asks that the board approve the recommendation of the administration to propose a non-renewal term contract of L. Anchando, CMS teacher under policy DFFB.
I move. I second.
Motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'll take this to the next item.
Thank you. The next item is 7B2, discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation of the administration to propose the termination of the 2024-2025 probationary contract at the conclusion of the contract term for E. Montoya, a teacher at CMS, under policy DFAB as part of the district's reduction in force, and as a result of the program staffing changes approved by the board and to serve the best interest of the district. That's in the form of a motion, and the administration recommends it be approved by the board.
I so move.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga? Motion passes.
And thank you. The next item is item 7C, campus reorganization and restructuring. Item 7C1. Discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation of administration to propose non-renewal of the 2024-2025 term contract for C. Burler, Under policy DFFP, as part of the district's reduction in force as a result of the program and staffing changes approved by the board, the administration recommends that the board accept that proposal as presented.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is item 7C2, discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation of administration's proposed termination of 2024-25 probationary contract at the conclusion of the contract term for J. Pettis, teacher at Gannon Davenport, under policy DFAB as part of the district reduction in force as a result of the program staffing changes approved by the board and to serve the best interest of the district. It's the recommendation of the administration that you approve the proposal as presented.
I so move. I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
No.
Motion passes.
Next item.
Sure, give me 1 second. The next item is item 7D. 7D1 and D2, these are the nursing and other health service program redesign recommendation from the administration. We had a rather lengthy discussion about this in closed session. 7D1 is a recommendation of the administration to propose non-renewal of the term contract for Vespazan and Fonta nurse at Gannon Davenport under policy DFFB as part of the district's reduction in force. And as a result of the program and staffing changes approved by the board, the administration is still recommending that action be taken. Let me finish. I also understand that under item 7D2, the discussion and possible action regarding probationary contracts for the individuals that were listed under item 7D2 were also discussed. I'm going to ask the board if there is any appetite by one or more board members to entertain a motion first on 7D1. If there is, we'll take it up. If there's not, then no action will be taken.
Hearing no action.
So there's no motion under item 7D1, so no action will be taken on that recommendation. The next item is 7D2. Again, the same question to the board. Based on our discussion, I need to know whether there's anybody on the board, any appetite by the board to accept the recommendation of the administration to terminate the probationary contract for the various nurses that were listed under item 7D2. Is there any interest in doing that?
No action.
Hearing no motion, there will be no action taken on item 7D2 either. Okay. Moving on, 7E1, or 7E are the regular non-renewals and terminations. These are the contract issues that would normally be taken up this time of the year, at the end of the school year, going into the next year, for the reasons that we covered for each one of them. The first one is item 7E1. Discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation of the administration to propose non-renewal of the 2024-25 term contract of T. Avant, a teacher at CMS, under policy DFBB, for the reasons identified by the administration and discussed in closed session. The administration is recommending the board approve the notice, issuance of the notice of non-renewal under policy DFFB to T. Avant, a teacher at CMS, for the reasons discussed in closed session. So motion to approve that.
I so move.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7E2, discussion and possible action regarding.
You said 7, 6.
No, it's 7.
No, 7.
6E2?
7E2. 7E2. I've been saying 7 for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
6 is just missing.
Oh, it's over there. I was looking, I guess, the executive session items.
That's okay. 7E2. It's late. Discussion and possible action regarding the recommendation of the administration to terminate the probationary contract at the conclusion of the contract period following individuals under policy DFAB to to serve the best interests of the district. First one is the recommendation of the administration. The administration asks the board approve its recommendation to terminate the probationary contract of Jay Moss, a counselor at Cantil High School, for the reasons discussed in closed session at the end of the contract period to serve the best interests of the district.
I so move. I second.
There's a motion and a second. Adjourn committee to the board.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Ms. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item under 7E2 is the administration recommends that the board accept its proposal to terminate the probationary contract of A. Barrios, counselor at Cantil High School, at the conclusion of the contract period under policy DFAB, for reasons discussed in closed session to serve the best interests of the district.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second.
2 seconds, I'll take please. Go ahead, Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Item 7F. Discussion and possible action to address the potential sale of district property identified as RFO 2025-18. Possible sale of property at 6300 Strahan Road. We received bids for this property. They were reviewed by the board in closed session. There is still work to be done, however, because 3 qualifying bids were received. This time, the administration is asking that the board authorize the administration to complete the evaluation of the bids and to bring back a recommendation at a future meeting as soon as possible regarding that evaluation to recommend a potential sale of the district property that was unsealed in closed session.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Mr. Martinez. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7G is discussion and possible action regarding the ground lease between El Paso Community College and the District of the Northwest Early College High School. Still in preliminary discussions with the community college regarding certain aspects of this potential lease, which is in place and being amended. We only ask that the administration authorize board authorize the administration to continue discussions with El Paso Community College along the terms that were discussed in closed session. Any final agreement will be brought back to the board for approval. So we have a motion to approve that.
I so move.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you pull the board?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 7H, discussion regarding County of El Paso's request to address right-of-way adjacent to Deanna Davenport Elementary School and options for possible sale or transfer to the county. The county's approached the district, asking what the district is interested in doing with the right-of-way that we discussed in the closed session, which is adjacent to Deanna Davenport Elementary School. They made certain proposals, but there is a request from Cantil to negotiate with the county regarding the potential value of that right of way, so we're only asking that the board authorize the administration to continue negotiating with the county on the terms discussed in closed session and to bring any final proposal back to the board for approval.
I so move.
I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Adrian, can you?
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
Ms. Borrego.
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado.
Yes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Ms. Zuniga.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7I, discussion and possible action to amend or revise the real estate contracts and transactions for real property described as a tract of land out of Lot 1 to Lot 48, Enchanted Hills Unit 6, and a portion of tracts 4B, 4B1, 5A, 5B, and 6 All right. Maybe certainly 2237, we planned as a chance of closing at 7. This is a transaction for property the district is buying, and we've been in negotiations with the seller to potentially amend that agreement. There's a certain portion, approximately 5.3 acres, that may or may not be used by the district. We don't get half final terms for that, so we're asking that the board authorize the administration and legal counsel to continue with discussions with the owner and to bring back in the final proposal at a future meeting for approval by the board.
I so move.
For a second.
I second.
There's a motion and a second.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Urbina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
You okay?
Okay, thank you.
Item 7J, discussion and possible action, contract of Superintendent Pedro Galaviz, revisions and amendments to the current agreement. Y'all had a discussion with Dr. Galaviz regarding his current agreement. It's my understanding based on that discussion that there is some desire by Dr. Galaviz and the board to consider certain amendments to that agreement. So the board has authorized, well, we're asking the board authorize council and board president to finalize the proposed agreement that Dr. Galaviz presented to the board and to bring it back for final approval at a future meeting on the terms that we discussed in closed session.
I so move.
I second my motion.
Who's first?
I
No, the second. Okay. They continue for the board.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Borrego?
Yes.
Ms. Maldonado?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mrs. Ortega?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Urbina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'll take this to announcement.
The next item is item number 8. You're right, to adjourn.
Is there
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
If it's consent of the board, we'll adjourn.
Time is 11:26 p.m.
Y'all better not.
Like I said, I don't know if